Greetings and welcome to this week's True Sky Sidereal Astrological Weather Forecast, the only astrological forecast for the true adept looking to evolve as a celestial being, as we are looking at the authentic positions of the luminaries as they are in the visible sky. And if you're confused here, like, wait a minute, isn't that just what astrology is? You are incorrect. Tropical astrology, which is what most people are familiar with, is not based on the stars at all. So you can see here by looking at the stars in real time today, Monday, May 26th, the new moon that is meant to be in Gemini is actually in, what's that? It's Taurus. Right on the bull's back here. Okay, so I already did a full deep dive on the new moon energies, so you can check out that video, which is on YouTube here or TikTok as well, depending on which platform you're viewing it on. So you can get the details of that particular lunar event, but we can see here we're less than 12 hours away from the apex, and when it is apex at 11:02 Eastern, 11:02 p.m. Eastern, I should say, the moon and the sun will be the exact same point on the line of the ecliptic. That is what a new moon is. So we can see here that not only is the sun and the moon here in Taurus, but we also have Mercury pretty darn close. We're going to have a Mercury cazimi, which is when the sun and any other etheric body are at the exact same point on the line of the ecliptic. That is going to be exact on Thursday, but we're already feeling the effects of it. You can see here just how close it is, okay? So even though this is a very grounded and earthy lunar event and lunar cycle, we do have Mercury in there, which is the ruling planet of Gemini. So this is where things can get a bit convoluted, and honestly why tropical astrology has so much weight to it, not only because of the collective thought processes and the fact that like so many people are putting energy into the predictions and following this weather that's based on the lower three dimensions of our reality, that it becomes real, but also because there are elements that translate, right? Like it's not completely wrong. It's just a little bit off. It's a little discordant. And that really sums up the inverted society, the matrix, if you want to call it that. What I find that word just a little difficult because of the negative stigma that it has, but we really are living in an inverted society that has taught us to just be a little bit off of what is normal, or in some cases completely inverted. But in this case, that Mercurian energy, right, that this idea of it like being a Gemini new moon does have a little bit of weight because Mercury is right there, but Mercury in Taurus is like slow and steady. It is really taking your time. It is thinking about what you want to say. It's not acting impulsively. And honestly, just as a side note, this is how I knew, like when I switched to True Sidereal, that my chart was just a deeper resonance, because in tropical, I had a Mars and Mercury in Taurus. And in my True Sidereal, it's in Aries, which is way more fitting. Okay, I am the type of person to talk and act first and think later. So when it shifted, I was like, oh yeah, that makes more sense. So anyways, Mercury in Taurus is like slow and steady. It's like thoughtful communication. It's grounded. It's not rushed. It's like considering the options. It's being very comfortable in its environment, like the sensuality, it's like no rush kind of energy. So you may be feeling a bit subdued. Also, at this point in the lunar cycle, we are at the lowest point of the energy of the moon. And if you're a human with a uterus that menstruates with the new moon, like I am, it's a double whammy of like just taking a pause type of energy. So let's continue our rundown here on the line of the ecliptic. It's been a little while since I did one of these full-on reports. As a side note, I now have a full variety of offerings available. If you're curious about this lens of astrology and you want to study with me, I have some freebies. I have an ebook I wrote, and I'm going to be teaching a course live in June. I also created a free Discord server where you can come and connect with me and other seekers on the path to celestial evolution. So I've been working away at that. There's only so much energy in the day. Plus, I still am operating with a less than ideal computer. So P.S. if you are a wealthy human with resources who would like to donate to my cause so I can have a better computer to make these with more ease, I am still open to that. Okay, so moving down the line of the ecliptic here, we basically have a party in Taurus, a Taurus stellium going on here right now, not only with the sun and the moon and Mercury, but Uranus, the planet of switching things up, of freedom, innovation, doing things differently, and Jupiter making its way actually out of Taurus soon. It is at the tail end here. We can see it is in between the constellations. So using the Mastering the Zodiac is just at the tail end of Jupiter because it uses a midpoint system. So somewhere like around here is when it officially switches over into Gemini. Now, moving down the rest of the line of the ecliptic, this is how astrology is meant to function. You're meant to be able to just look at the sky, see what constellation things are in, and make your deductions from there. Okay, so we had a sign change last week with Mars moving into Leo. And again, you kind of see here, it's like in between, but officially with the midpoint system, it is in Leo. Much more comfortable placement for Mars, fire and fire. This was fire and water, two cardinal signs, basically. Mars in Cancer, fire and water, not the best combination. Fire and fire, a little more comfortable. So Leo is the creativity, it is self-expression, it is the desire to play and have fun, pleasure. Like the fifth house is all pleasure, right? So like Mars in Leo is really giving us this renewed sense of being ourselves, being comfortable being ourselves after this long journey that Mars has had in Cancer, going through our fields, making sure we're taking care of ourselves and looking after our needs and all of that. Now we're in a point with our doing or our assertion energy, which is what Mars is, that we can be ourselves and be creative and more playful. Moving down the line of the ecliptic here, we can see Virgo, huge constellation, not much going on in this part of the sky at present moment. Here's Scorpio, our friend Ophiuchus, Sagittarius, Capricorn, and here, if you're new here, see our friend Pluto and Capricorn, actually providing some beneficial energies this week as well, some supportive aspects to the new moon today, but also just in general, the dismantling of the then just had a little tech issue there. Kind of funny. I mentioned my computer's a POS and then it did that. I'm not sure what happened there, but Pluto moving backwards through Capricorn is the dismantling of all of these oppressive structures that reinforce the hustle and grind mentality, the external locus, the masculine doing energy that has been way overemphasized in our society. Now we're moving towards the feminine. Okay, so coming into where Pisces is here over eclipse season last few months, a lot of action in Pisces, which you can see as a big constellation. So a lot of time that it takes these planets and etheric bodies to move through the depths of this mutable water that is Pisces. Okay, so we have Saturn getting pretty darn close to Neptune here. So Saturn, the planet, which is basically Capricorn energy, like the dad of the zodiac, rules, regulations, responsibility, the slow and steady path, like planning things. This is really giving devotion over discipline. Neptune is a double whammy of that Piscean energy. So we're having like a real seriousness to our spirituality in the sense that like you can build structures to support you in a magical life. You don't have to give up your needs and your desire to be a magical human in order to exist in the world. You can be both, like, and the all vice versa. You don't need to like be ultra spiritual and like wear white linens and give up all like anything that makes you a human in order to be spiritual. No, you have the capacity to be both. Okay, that is what this conjunction is giving, and this energy of Saturn in Pisces, which by the way, it's not in Aries, as you can see. This whole energy of like Saturn in Aries, go time. No, like Saturn has some work to do still in Pisces. Okay, and then we have Venus here. Again, also in Pisces, not in Aries. And we're going to have a conjunction between Venus and Chiron. Now, this is an astronomical star charting app. So, like, you don't see things like Chiron or the North Nodes in here because those are just, they're more astrological interpretations. So, the interpretation of the astronomy is astrology. This is just astronomy that you're looking at right here. But Chiron would be right about here, okay? It's getting pretty close. And my computer shit the bed again. So let's just get into the weekly transits. Obviously, a message from the universe that less is more. And although I like doing these forecasts, it doesn't need to be so long and detailed and difficult to edit, which makes it a barrier to putting it up there. So less is more as I ramble for 20 seconds about it being less is more. But anywho, let's get into the weekly transits, folks, shall we? The moon. Let's start off with the moon, okay? So obviously today, as you can see in real time on your screen here, using your own eyes, the sun and the moon are almost at the same point right in the middle of Taurus. Okay, Taurus is a huge constellation. There's 37 degrees when you look at it, like ish, because it's like the sun moves 1 degree every day and it takes 37 days for the sun to get through the constellation of Taurus. Okay, so we're at the midpoint here. So the sun is going to be in Taurus today and tomorrow and part of Wednesday as well. And then so we've got this like slow and steady energy, a lot of Taurus feels, okay? Taurus is sensuality, it is that fixed earth, it is very grounded, it is slow moving, it is empowering yourself to be confident in your physical vessel, in your physical surroundings. And again, like I said, if you want more of a deep dive into today's energy in particular, you can look at the new moon video that I did specifically. On Wednesday, the moon will be moving into Gemini, late Wednesday, and into Thursday, it'll be in Gemini. So more of this mental aspect, looking at things from a more detached viewpoint, considering things, being curious when it comes to Gemini energy. And then Friday and Saturday, the moon will be in Cancer, those deep feels, that cardinal water. So, looking at a new way of feeling, a new way of being in the world. And then finally, on Sunday, the moon will be moving into Leo. So, relatively quiet week as far as aspects go, which is good because we're at a low point in the energy with the moon. We've really been through the ringer the last few months. So, this is really kind of like the calm to gather yourself, go within, really, with the new moon being at this point. Going within and just resting and receiving would be my recommendation as far as the current energies. When it comes to the aspects that are of note, there's nothing really major going on. We have some minor aspects today, like Mercury sextiling Neptune. So sextiles are always a bit supportive, right? So that energy of Mercury being in Taurus, like slow communication, thinking about things, think before you speak, think before you act kind of energy. So that sextiling Neptune, which is double whammies of Piscean energy, Neptune also being really close to Saturn right now, is this energy of taking it slow, really looking at yourself from a devotional practice type of viewpoint, okay? In the sense that you are your own devotional practice. Like put your energy into being embodied, no matter where you are, no matter how shitty your circumstances might be right now. The only thing you have control over is yourself and your level of embodiment, right? So doing things to get yourself into your body, slow, sensual practices, grounding yourself to the earth if possible. If not possible, getting yourself into a salt bath, or just putting your focus inside of you and allowing the structures that need to be formed from this more internally locused way of being to form on their own, with like less is more. Stop doing so much is basically the phrase that I keep getting over and over. And then tomorrow on Tuesday, Mercury is going to be trining Pluto. So another supportive, harmonious aspect of this slow and steady thought process, coalescing with Pluto dismantling the old way of thinking, which is like rush, 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 hustle, grind, better do more, do something else. If this isn't working, try something else, right? When in actuality, that pause energy, taking a beat, really slowing down how you're thinking and how you're acting, valuing the receptivity, the intangible, the spiritual aspects of your life, and taking that shit seriously. Then on Thursday, we will have the Mercury Cazimi. We're already feeling the effects of it. You can see how close the sun is to Mercury right now. This happens twice a year where we have this Cazimi, the cycle of the sun and Mercury. They work very closely together. So this is basically an illumination of this energy. On Thursday, it'll be exactly what we're feeling it all week, okay? So really just bringing light to the fact that we need to slow down our thinking. We don't need to be so anxious and in our heads all the time. If you struggle with this, look at somatic grounding practices. Come join the Discord server because I talk about this all the time. The somatic work, the nervous system work is the foundation of being able to entertain a new paradigm and evolve as a celestial being. And one of the best ways you can do that is being connected to others who are also doing that. So you can be together in your social isolation. So come and join the Discord server. I talk about this stuff often in there. I've also post like playlists for somatic dance rituals and things like that I do on the regular. So come on over, check it out. You don't need to pay anything to be in the free tier. There are options to upgrade to get more of my personal attention. But honestly, right now with the number of people in there, I'm engaging with mostly everybody. So come on in if you're looking for more practical, pragmatic spirituality on how to ground your spirituality in a somatic practice so that you can stop being so anxious and subscribing to the same shit over and over again because you're anxious. So The last note as far as transits go this week is that we're going to have a conjunction between Venus and Chiron on Sunday. So Venus and Chiron in the late degrees of Pisces. These are wounds around your relationships, what you value, how you love, but also how you are showing up in your spirituality. Chiron and Pisces is wounds around the feminine, wounds around receiving, wounds around your spirituality and living a magical life, and like that being okay and safe. Like, remember, for generations it's been persecuted out of us on an evolutionary sense of like cellular sense of being, to hide our magical selves. Okay, so these wounds, Chiron and Pisces is pushing on that. Venus illuminating that, is bringing this like softness and valuing of the wounds. Okay, like accepting yourself as whole and complete no matter where you're at, and like, you know, even deciding that you're done, you're healing, and that you're fine just as you are right now. Like, that can flip a switch in you in order to operate from a more neutral standpoint moving forward. So yeah, overall, I would say that the theme of this week is like empowerment, like a new cycle that is grounded in your own spirituality and empowering you to live a more magical life. Slow and steady, grounded communication, a focus on the sensual aspects of life, the beingness in your body, right? Like not being in outer space as much. If you're somebody who's prone to that, like I am, getting into your body, doing the things to take care of your body, taking care of yourself, taking care of your environment, right? Slow and steady, having faith, having a devotional type of energy in your spiritual practice, and remembering that you are the source, you are the creator. Everything outside of you is just a tool for you to remember your power as the curator and creator of your experience. And the more that you remember that, the more that you put your intention inwards, the more that you can harness these energies for your advantage. So that's about all I have to say for this week's forecast. If you like this sort of content, I would love to hear from you. Engage with me in the comments, send me a DM, come and join the Discord server, come and check out any of the offerings that I have here. And again, if you are a wealthy beneficiary who loves hearing my voice and would like to hear more from me, I would really benefit from a new piece of technology so that I can create these things with less resistance. And yeah, so opening myself up to receive. If you're still listening to this, thank you for supporting me with your ears and eyes and hearts, and I will see you in the next one.